Hey, happy Super Bowl Sunday to you. It's Brother Gerald, and we have one more episode on Super Bowl Sunday. The game starts 12 o'clock, so I know I'm going to get this one in. I'm only going to try to hold y'all in for about 20 minutes tops, and I'm really hoping to get this done in 10 minutes. But I doubt it because I've got a lot to talk about. But today's lesson is called The Setup. And, you know, a lot of people don't like when they hear that. I was set up, but everything in your life is going to be requiring a setup. And I'm going to make this one kind of entertaining because you know what? I used to live in the city of Compton. And as a little boy or a young man, I can't really remember, but we had a mayor. And this mayor was a beloved mayor. Everybody in the city loved this guy. And I think because everybody loved him and he had the potential of being, a congressman or even the governor. Because he was almost like Barack Obama. I'm not even gonna mention his name. Y'all can look him up and find out the scandal because the name is not really the point. The whole point of me bringing this up was it came out in the news that they showed him on video and the federal government was conducting what they call a sting. Now, a sting is not really something people would want to be a victim or fall victim to. But the funny thing is, if you actually studied what these people had to do to set this mayor up to get him, the way they got him, they put in work. They did a lot of preparation. They did a lot of planning. And then they got their agents to do things. And they might have even recruited some people from some other agencies because, certain people might be familiar. And so the long story short, they get this mayor in this hotel room. And funny thing about it, they got him all on video. And so the funny thing about the whole situation to me was that the guy who set the mayor up, all he did was put the money, the envelope on the table, and he told him, this is what's in the table. It's what's on the table. So he couldn't, say he didn't know what was in the envelope. And the thing was, it wasn't that he gave it to him. He set it on the table. And so the mayor had to actually reach to get it. He had to take it. So he ended up going to jail. And the funny thing about it is, I think on a legal level, if the man had not set the money on the table for the mayor to actually voluntarily reach down and pick it up, I think he might have been able to get out of jail. But the thing is, the only reason why I'm saying that is because I've been studying law and I've been studying the fine points of law and how police officers, they'll gain jurisdiction by asking you. And if you say yes, then, they have the right now to go in and go through all of your possessions because you told them, go on, I don't have nothing to hide. But to me, you got to be careful on that. But the whole thing was the mayor got stung. I mean, it wasn't, that, but they didn't sting him. He stung himself because he volunteered to reach and take. Now, the funny thing about that is it's the same setup that happened in the Garden of Eden at the time. Now, I want you so-called scientists, y'all want to use this scientific method. You determined to use the scientific method. Well, I'm going to go ahead, we're going to get some good exercise on it so I can also prove to you that even with God, you can use that method and get blessed by it. So the mayor, he was arrested for bribes and he went to jail and he deserved to go to jail. I don't give a darn whether he's white, black, whatever. He was set up and the setup worked. But them people had to put in work to get him there. So too, God set us up. He set us up, put us on this earth. We can't do our business on Mars. We can't go out of this galaxy. We can't get out of this earth. And so too, we've been set up. And God, he's the one who did the thing. And since he's in charge and he set all this stuff up, everything that we get on this earth come from him. And that's one point that I'm trying to get people to understand and acknowledge, because when you go into that lab and you do your research, when you go to that atom smasher and all these wonderful places with these tools that we're using to learn about the universe. We're learning about the physical realm. You know, we ain't learning too much about the metaphysical realm. And the last time I talked about this, they have this theory called the multiverse theory, which is bizarrely a metaphysical kind of contemplation of these people's minds. But the whole thing is, it's something of the imagination. It's not based on real reality, and it's not based on anything that we can ascertain, because like I said, we're coming from a position of ignorance. So it's a fallacious argument. And when any scientist tells you, oh no, it's based on research, I'm saying, man, you can research this cake all you want, but you're not going to be able to tell who baked this cake. The universe is a beautiful cake that God made. And the only way you'll even know that it was made is for him to tell you, but not really. Because you know what? He says, the heavens declare the glory of God. Meaning, you watch and look around, you're going to see so much order. And when you start going to school, you're going to see how these scientists are doing what they call taxonomy. And taxonomy is just, you know, organizing things and arranging them using a system, a logical system. Now, the systems that we have made up dealing with these charts, these man charts, these horse charts, and all of this, you know, we're trying to make some logical connections between these bones that we see and relate them to us. But that's not to say that there's no reason behind this. There is a reason behind these people doing what they're doing. But anyway, in the beginning, we go to Genesis 1. We see God doing all this work. He's preparing this work, and the world was void, you know, according to Genesis chapter 1, verse 2. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And then God is putting in work. He said, let there be light. You know, he's working. 6 days, he done put everything together, and then he rested. He's relaxed. So God prepared this void world, and as a part of the game that he set us up with, that he entrusted us to be rulers over this thing. And we can see that in Genesis chapter 1, verse, I think it's 26. I mentioned this once before. I'm going to keep hammering these things over. We're going to get deeper and deeper into it. Now, the thing is, now God set us up, but he didn't just set us up. He set us up to be like him. You know, so we're going to be doing a lot of things that will be reflective in the pattern that goes back to Genesis. All right, you scientists, take your pen and paper out and write these things down. You're going to find yourself being so God-like that you're going to be able to want to be God, like Satan, the devil, wanted you to think. Okay. So another quick example is, you know, rich people. Rich people are not evil in and of themselves. They're not. Because when I talked about Job in this other story, you know, Satan comes to God, and God is like, hey, what's up, devil? Where you been? I've been up and down the earth. And he said, did you look at my man Job? And so, you know, he said, I'm going to get at him. So God said, you can get at him. You can set him up. You know, but don't kill him, you know, because, you know, if you kill him, you're not going to be able to get the answer you're looking for, you know, to prove, because he, you know, the devil had a theory. He said, man, Job is serving you because you do all these wonderful things for him. You blessed him, made the richest man on earth, and everybody else is just, you know, peasants, they're serfs. And he said, no. Because the whole thing is, now we look at today, we got all these people, rich kids, probably richer than Job in terms of living life and having opportunities to see more of this world, traveling and all this. But none of these people are really worshiping God. Okay, but the rich man, he's going to set up his family. If he's a wise rich man, even a heathen will set up a trust. And a trust has administrators that administer the property or the value or the money in the trust for the trust beneficiary. So it's kind of on the same level as God setting up this world and entrusting man to rule over this world. He made him in his image, so he said, well, so too, like I set this world up to be a certain way, I'm going to set you up to do similar things, but nothing like me. You will be able to create, you'll be able to enjoy, you'll be having pleasures and things like that, and you'll be able to have wrath. You'll be able to have jealousy. But the things that you guys are going to be expressing, hopefully, will be in a God-honoring way. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and look in. So God prepared this world. He set us up. We were set up. And the devil, he set us up too. Or at least he set up Job, we know for sure. And when we read a lot of these stories of our ancestors, we see how the devil set us up to do a whole lot of stuff. Because in the end, God said it's appointed man to die and then the judgment. So here we go. In Acts chapter 17:26, and God hath made of one blood all nations of men, for to dwell on all the face of the earth. And he hath determined the times before appointed and the bounds of their habitation. So God says, you know, the earth is where y'all are going to hang out. You can try to get in a rocket ship and get out of here, but most of you guys are going to be right here. You ain't going nowhere. This is the boundary, and the boundary may not even be the earth. You know, we might be able to get like Star Trek and travel, warp drive here and there, but the boundary in this mortal state is going to be limited by the time we live here. So, and if we're going to go into this spaceship, we're going to have to take these life-sustaining instruments like oxygen and food. We're going to have to take a whole lot of earth along with us in order to copy the life-sustaining pattern that was set up here. So the whole thing is, God has basically said, these are the boundaries of your habitation. So we got to think and meditate, you know. God, how am I limited? I can do whatever I want, whatever's in my mind. What the thing is, the Bible says without God, you can do nothing. So let's think about all of the things that we depend on. We depend on air. We depend on this body. We depend on the DNA to make sure that the skin cells do what they got to do. And the, you know, epithelial layers, sensory cells, I mean, we got so many things we depend on. And we're not even willing to acknowledge how all of this interdependency has been coordinated to make these things possible. Like for me to even move in this manner, we got people. I took a kinetics class, a kinesiology class in college. And I mean, I was doing more mathematical equations trying to just, you know, mathematically compute the bending of my elbow. Just the bending of my elbow. Just to understand that. But here it is, we take it for granted. We act like all of this is ours. And God says, naked you came into this world and naked you're going to leave. Now, if you're coming in and you're going to claim all of this stuff, wouldn't you want to know who did it? And maybe he did it for a good reason. Maybe he did it for a rotten reason. But the long and the short of it, he did it for a reason. And you can't sit here and override that, because it is appointed man wants to die and then the judgment. And here we go. Job chapter 30, verse 23. Job speaks it. He says, I know you will bring me down to death, to the place appointed for all the living. So Job, you know, this ancient foolish man, a lot of atheists will say he's a fool, or, oh, you know, that's a myth, you know. So let's be like scientists. You know, most scientists have an understanding that everybody's going to die on this earth. I think so. So here we got, you know, proof that we can actually test and see whether or not Job is full of crap, or if this Bible that's speaking these words is full of crap. Hebrews, that's Old Testament. New Testament, the book of Hebrews, chapter 9, verse 27. Just as people are appointed or destined to die, the same word, appointed or destined to die once, and after that to face judgment. You know, so where do we get this concept of judgment, justice? Well, we get the concept when we look at people that will do heinous crimes, and, you know, he got away with it. He killed himself after he killed all those people. There's no justice in that. You know, no justice. And if there's no justice, then there's really no purpose in this world. But we know deep down inside there is, because when we catch the criminal, we get kind of happy, but we're not really happy, because even with catching them, like in a murder, you catch somebody and they're going to go to jail or they're going to get the death penalty. You're never quite satisfied with even them getting caught because you were violated. They took your stuff, and most of the time, when you get your stuff back, it ain't even in the condition it was when they took it, and it was abused. So you bring them to justice, and you know they're going to jail. It just ain't. You're not totally satisfied, but you know what? You'll take it. Because earlier last year, I only had one work van, and it had all of my tools. I mean, I had a $8,000 Sea Snake tool, which is one of those fiber optic visual cameras that you run down the drain. I had jackhammers. I had I had almost a pair of everything. And I would say in my van, I had maybe about 15, 20 grand worth of tools. And somebody just pulled up, got a tow truck and towed my van away. And when I got my van back, all the tools were gone, and the transmission was burned up because they towed it and burned out my transmission. So thanks be to God that I run a tight and honest business, not a very financially prosperous business, but hey, I'm doing good for myself. I'm able to travel and enjoy and do things. But long story short, I had the benefit of having some of my clients just give me money. Hey man, here's $1,000 to help you get your tools back. Here's $2,000 to help you get your tools back. Here's $3,000. And I'm just like, I'm getting choked up in tears because these people who gave me all this money, I don't even think some of the work I did for them was as much as they offered me to help me get on my feet. But that's not to say that after I received it that I just kept on walking. Now the funny thing was, after I was able to get back to work, I came back and I told these people, and many of them told me, hey man, keep the money. And I told them, no, I need to give it back to you. And the reason why is because I don't want you thinking I'm crying wolf the next time something like this happens, because there is a possibility and there's wisdom in what I did. So too, I share that with you guys because I know some people, when after I told them what I did, they go, man, I wouldn't have told them nothing. In fact, maybe in a year or two, I might have told a story to get them to give me some more money. But that's that's the mind of the man. We got some good things we imagine. And so I just wanted to share that with you because, we've been set up. But we wasn't set up to be destroyed. We weren't set up to just come here and die. We were set up by a good and loving God, and he did so many wonderful things for us, but here it was, we doubted and didn't believe that he was as good as he said he was, or even demonstrate. He demonstrated by making this world so beautiful for us. And here it is, we still run around here doing stuff we ain't got no business doing, playing around with his world, his materials, this body he gave us, messing around with that. And we don't even want to take the time to say, you know what? Even in the New Testament, when Paul spoke to Athens, he was speaking to these people. He said, you know what? I see you guys are very religious, and to cover all the bases, y'all got this unknown God. In case we miss one God to give praise to, we're gonna make this one idol, and to the unknown God. And he says, well, for that unknown God, and here it is. He's grabbing a hold of something that they could relate to. Because that's the thing about a good teacher. He's going to look and see where you're lacking, but he's going to find some common ground where he can kind of jump off into, sharing with you and planting the seed that may germinate later to open your mind to see these truths in the vibrant colors that they are. So too, I give this to you. And so, yes, we were set up, but we weren't set up like that mayor. And we definitely weren't set up like the devil. The devil set us up to fall even further because he wanted, it wasn't bad enough that Job was a mortal man. It was like he wanted to thumb Job in God's face to say, look, I can make him, and you said he's your trusted servant. I can even make him break down on you. So too, he breaks us all down, but thanks be to God. God wakes us up and he gives us one more chance to pick up that book, pick up that sword, start cutting up in this world. Cutting these strongholds down. And so too, that's what I do. And this is what I bless and encourage y'all to pick it up and do too. You know, a lot of my videos, I talk and refer to the Bible. I don't necessarily refer to passages. But if you call yourself being a scientist and you want to get that scientific method, you look up and you see if these things were so. Because there were some people that were in the New Testament, they call them the Bereans. The Bereans were very skeptical. But the Bereans at least opened up the book and read it to see if these things were true. So too, I give you the challenge, atheists. You want to be true to the game. You know, stop making all these assumptions that all this stuff is just here, and in studying it, you're going to figure out the purpose for it. It ain't going to happen. I'm telling you, if you link what you do in that lab with what the Bible teaches you, your life will have true meaning. And when you go to die, when you go to meet that appointment that you're going to keep, God tells you you have an appointment to meet with him, and then he's going to judge you. He ain't going to judge you on the material things, because what did Job say? Naked you came in here, naked you going. So ain't going to be no bank account with you. Ain't going to be no pile of money there that you can use to bribe him. Ain't going to be none of your friends there to kind of put in a good word for you. You're going to be standing on everything that you did. Because judgment is coming for how we related to each other and how we related to our Creator. And you say you didn't even acknowledge him? I mean, it's like your mother. She bore you. And what if your mother did all these wonderful things for you, and then you get married to some woman and she tells you, you know, I don't want you dealing with your mother. And the next time you see her, if you tell her you love her, I'm gone. And you kind of torn between these two women. To me, and then you hurt your mother because you love your wife. You know, that's wrong. You're going to be judged for that, you know, because you shouldn't have got yourself involved with a woman that would dishonor your mother by making such a condition for you to satisfy. So with that, I'll end this video with my famous remark. I want y'all to think clearly and be blessed, and leave the rest to God. Praise him. And go Cam. Get him, Cam Newton. Hey, I love you, brother. The quarterback, I can't think of it. He's my boy too. Anyway, go Cam Newton. That's the only name y'all gonna remember after this Super Bowl. Praise God.